even if you are sleeping at night at 11:30 or 12 or 1:30 or 2 and somebody calls you, you have to go and go out. I'm sure, see, it's all very well dramatized also. Lots of movies, lots of videos have been made on the subject. Everyone is expecting you on your own birthday, and the cake is there, and people are waiting, but you are not there. In our country, a lot of distrust is there towards the police, and even at the level of an SSP or a DIG, when duty beckons and there is the call of duty, everyone rises to it. My second class में था जब मैंने पहली बार सोचा कि I should try for this.
Welcome everyone back to the podcast. I hope you guys are doing absolutely good, safe at home and following the COVID-19 protocols. तो आज हमारे पॉडकास्ट का एपिसोड नंबर 6 and today we are having someone with us जिनसे हम बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं. और मैं आपको बता दूं, आप एक बार सर के बारे में जानेंगे ना तो आप भी मोटिवेट हो जाएंगे सर के बारे में जानने के लिए. और आई मीन चाहे वो उधमपुर की हिल्स में काम करना हो या फिर वो नॉर्थ कश्मीर में टेररिज्म और मिलिटेंसी से निपटना हो, सर हैज come a long way and we can learn a lot from sir. So he is none other than our respected SSP Baramulla IPS Rahees Mohammed Bhatt sir. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
रईस सर, ऐसे तो मैंने इंटरव्यूज लिए काफी लोगों के और आपके बारे में मेरे को ज्यादा एक्साइटमेंट है जानने की. रीजन बीइंग, आपके बारे में मैंने गूगल पे सर्च किया. गूगल पे आपके बारे में बहुत डाटा अवेलेबल है कि आपने क्या क्या किया, कैसे आपने काम किया, उधमपुर में कैसा रहा आपका, अब नॉर्थ कश्मीर में कैसा आप कर रहे हैं. बट वन थिंग वाज मिसिंग, दैट वाज योर बैक स्टोरी. एंड सिंस यू आर सन ऑफ द सॉइल, तो मैं और ज्यादा एक्साइटेड था आपके बारे में जानने के लिए, बिकॉज आई हैव नो क्लू कि how a boy from Kashmir Valley turned to a IPS officer. I just want to know your journey, sir. All मतलब कैसे स्टार्ट रहा कश्मीर का एक लड़का आज IPS ऑफिसर और वापस अपनी यूटी स्लैश स्टेट में आके सर्व करना. How was your journey, sir? I just want to learn all, sir.
देखिए, the journey has been a long one. In the sense that I started out with my dream of UPSC very early. My second class में था जब मैंने पहली बार सोचा कि I should try for this. And I don't know, somehow कहीं पे मैंने सुना और मेरे दिमाग में बात बैठ गई और मैंने उसी बात को लेके जो है फिर मैं आगे चला. तो उस हिसाब से मुझे कई साल लग गए, बट एट द सेम टाइम मैं ये कहूँगा कि दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ मेंटली प्रिपेयर्ड मी and it made me very aware of the fact that this is what I have to do in life. It was my aim in life, and किसी और चीज के बारे में कम ही सोचा मैंने. So I was never in doubt that this is the thing I wanted to do, and it took many years. It took a lot of hard work, and I think ultimately this early decision, I would say, is what helped me achieve my goal.
And sir, reason behind IPS, what was the reason behind IPS? मतलब आपको पहले से mentally prepared थे that you want IPS, और आप या आपने और भी जो other services है उनको आपने preference दी थी? How IPS became part of your life?
In fact, if I tell you, I completed my graduation in 2005. And then for about a year I studied, and then when I gave the exam in the first attempt, I was not even thinking of IPS at that time. I had kept almost every other service except for IPS, and the reason was simple, that there were a lot of things that we had heard about the police, and it was not a very easy decision to look for IPS in the first go itself. I got through in that attempt, and I was an IRS officer of 2008 batch, and I served in the IRS for 2.5 years almost. I was in fact posted to Rajasthan, and from there, then from the IRS, in fact, I appeared again, and I again got through. And that time in the IRS, basically, we had a small training module in the National Police Academy. It was a small 3-week module. And once I went to the National Police Academy, that is where my decision
Changed.
to try and come into the IPS changed. And that's where I sort of hung on to it. And I don't know, with the very next year, I was there for good. I was there for a full year and into the IPS.
But sir, जो आपका civil service का counterpart था, that was from very beginning that you have decided that you want to become part of civil service. From class
Yes,
second,
yes.
class second
Yes.
से.
Yes, yes.
That is amazing, sir. मतलब आपका mindset एक काफी छोटी एज से सर्विस के प्रति हो चुका था.
हाँ, यस यस. मेरे आसपास मतलब कई सारे लोग थे जो उसके बारे में बात करते थे, ट्राई करते थे. मेरी फैमिली में कुछ मेरे से बड़े कजन्स थे. इसके अलावा coming from a family which had mostly civil servants in the they were in the civil service. So that sort of helped me to shape this dream.
Yes, sir. So if you talk about civil service, most of the IAS, IPS officers have one dream. जब वो civil service में जाए, तो उन्हें home cadre मिलना चाहिए. They want to serve in their home state. Maximum का यही होता है कि किसी तरह उनको home state मिल जाए, because a different kind of attachment, that pride is attached with your own state. And you were among the few who got the opportunity to get posted in your own home state. So sir, कैसा लगता है? How it feels when you serve in the state/UT where you have grown up, और आज आप उधर as a in-charge, as a SSP या आगे फ्यूचर में कोई और पोस्ट पे सर्व करेंगे. How it feels to serve in your motherland?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि most people think of it is not something that is limited to IAS or IPS officers. Come to think of it, everyone who especially in the Indian setting, हमारा culture ऐसा है कि everyone who gets a job or wants to do something in life ultimately wants to be around their family and their parents, and sort of take care of them when it is required. So that sort of prompts everyone to take up a job if the opportunity is there, especially if the career prospects are very good. Then you would prefer, and there's a preference available, then you would prefer somewhere close to home. At the same time, being in the home cadre has its distinct advantages and disadvantages. You may come to your home cadre, you are familiar with a lot of people. There is a lot of knowledge that you have of the local area and local people. You may know the language especially. So there is a good connect. You already know the problems. You already know how people react to certain things. So all these insights help you to understand and weigh your options very early. On the other hand, because you know a lot of people, so a lot of people have a lot of different kind of expectations from you. And they think that since somebody known to us is at a position where perhaps he could be of some help, or he could try and do certain things, pull strings. So that problem and that approach is always something that is faced, and there is no fresh insight that way that you get. However, it is a great feeling, especially in J&K, where I feel a lot of time would otherwise be required to understand the dynamics and the ground realities. If you come, if you hit the ground running, then you already have certain advantage of how to strategize and do certain things in a better way. It would help you to understand the people and the populace better. It would also understand, help you to react and fine-tune policies so that there is a larger acceptance of those policies over a period of time.
So as a whole, there are advantages as well as disadvantages in serving as your home state.
Yes, definitely. There's lots of strong disadvantages, but I would say the advantages obviously overweigh the disadvantages.
So, I am a very big civil service enthusiast and I read a lot about civil service. And I am very interested whenever something related to civil service comes up or an IAS or IPS officers I have to interact with. I'm very excited to have an interaction with them. I have seen this that the civil service exam completely changes you. I mean, kitne sare teachers who are mentoring students for civil service, they say कि civil service exam is going to change you. Well, that's a different counterpart. You may get selected, you may not get selected. That's a different counterpart. But this exam is always going to elevate you. That is for sure. But sir, I have seen this meeting some good IAS officers, good IPS officers. The charm and the glamour attached with the people in uniform is something very different and something very rare that you don't find in other civil servants. That is very rare. So, sir, I want to know how khaki changes you. How what khaki does to you that you are a different person throughout your life.
See, it's a very interesting question that you asked me, and this is something every policeman, every cop in the country, not only IPS officers but other officers, they feel whenever you wear a uniform, there is a transformation in your body. It is not something which is only permanent, but it is something which happens every day. Every time, every day, when you are at the end of your day, it's a working day, and you take off your uniform, you transform into a civilian. And we have seen subtle things, although your thinking is attuned to a lot of things over a period of time. But in a lot of reactions, in a lot of behaviors, we sort of relapse into civilian role. Even when you're traveling on holiday, you don't feel the same thing. It is only when you don the uniform and you have that belt around uh, your your back, which supports your back, which supports your spine, and that's why we also refer it to as the belt forces. That sort of transforms you into a very active bundle of energy. I remember there was this incident. We were at a social gathering, and in fact, I was a very timid and scared person earlier, and I would run away from trouble. But at this wedding, this was after I had joined the police and had been in the police for about 3 or 4 years. We were at a wedding or something, and suddenly there was a fire in one of the stoves that was towards the kitchens, and everyone started running away from the fire, and I was the only one who was running towards it. So that is what I'm trying to say is that that is the kind of transformation that you that sets into you and that you undergo when you wear the uniform.
So, were you
Suddenly,
in probation period that time? The incident?
no. I was out of my probation period. I was out of my probation period. But this was just about 3 or 4 years into my probation is for the first 2 years. So
Okay.
this was just after that. And this was a very sudden kind of a realization that I had that when I was running towards it and everyone else was running away from it, and I was not in uniform also, and I was not on duty also. But suddenly I had this energy, that transformation had set in. Earlier, perhaps I would run away and perhaps try and help in other ways, but not exactly run towards the source to know more about it. So that is the kind of a transformation that takes place.
So it kind of makes you brave.
It does. It gives you a lot of confidence. It sort of weaponizes you and gives you a lot of tools to deal with a variety of unknown situations. Most of the training is meant to help you uh, help you basically face situations which were hitherto unknown. Sometimes you have to face similar kind of situations, but every time the subset of the environment is unique. Every time there are different factors that go into making a situation, and for example, every time there is a lot of people on the road and they are throwing stones or something, it's called a riot. But at every place, it has a different flavor and character. So when it has a different character, then you need to see a lot of features, and everything cannot be taught to you, and everything cannot be got into training. But the training itself, prepares you in such a way where um, this thing is factored in that a lot of unknown situations will be faced, and how we react to them over a period of time, that is what is honed into you. So I remember also that once at one point of time we were taken to Rishikesh and we were made to jump off this very, very high cliff, which normally we wouldn't do, and we didn't have that inclination, or no logical person would ever think of doing it. But we jumped off it, and that is the kind of the exhilaration and the confidence that it gave you, that even if you didn't know what was down there, you knew that somehow you would handle it. And that's why a lot of modules, which may not seem very sensible and which may not seem apparently logical, are built into the training, like horse riding and lots of other modules, which basically drive that confidence into you, that there are certain things which are unknown to you, that there are certain things which will always be dynamic and keep changing, but you can always master them and use logic and reasoning to somehow control the situation.
So the all the things that we do in the academy, you do in the academy as an IPS officer, is because they are making you prepare for any situation in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, I got it, sir. So since you are currently posted as SSP Baramulla, one of the hostile districts of North Kashmir, and we all know some, we can say, dust particles are present there, which are making our valley look dirty. And with the combined efforts of JKP, SOG, CRPF, CISF, CAPF, Indian Army, we are clearing it. घर वाले जब साथ मिलके सफाई करते हैं तो डेफिनेटली सफाई बहुत अच्छी होती है और हो भी रही है बहुत अच्छे से. एंड we all as citizens of J&K are proud of you and all security forces. So, but I have seen this one thing. The thing which is different about JKP is the only police force in the country which is working with such a frequency and in such a phased manner with Indian Army. And personally, being a defense enthusiast, I always had this in my mind, that how is your experience with the one of the most experienced forces in the world, Indian Army? How is your experience in working with Indian Army?
We have a lot of challenges that we face here, and there's a lot of things that we require to handle jointly. Working with all the forces that are operating here, and working with all the forces which are deployed in the valley, and especially in Baramulla, I would say, is a wonderful experience that you get. It is not only cooperating, but it is also about synergizing. It is also about somehow managing all of these forces and try and get them to do the same thing. That is the same objective that we all have. See, I would not first of all say that there certain districts are hostile. It is just something we need to see as a problem that we have, and we address it jointly. For example, like you referred to the whole thing as a house cleaning, and when all the members of the house are out to clean, then there has to be cohesion. There has to be some kind of cooperation, and for example, I would say that one room would be cleaned by one person, and the other room would be cleaned by another person. So that is how we jointly do it. We subdivide our tasks. We have a lot of synergy in cooperating on the various aspects of the work that we have at hand, and the experience is great. This experience is something which you will miss out almost everywhere else in the country. And coordinating with all of these forces and having to meet with them, talk to them, gather from their experiences, glean wisdom from their style of working. This is something which enriches all of us, and this is something which I think goes for everyone. We have learned from each other's mistakes. We have learned from each other's successes. We have taken the best practices from each and every force, and we try and replicate them all across the board. This is how we have been able to build up a very professional kind of a, outlook towards doing things.
Yes, sir. Amazing synergy, sir. I hope this synergy remains the same throughout the whole journey between you and the Indian Army. ताकि जो भी डस्ट पार्टिकल्स हमारी वैली को गंदा कर रहे हैं, with the power of our synergy we can clean them. Now, sir, talking about this topic, ये थोड़ा सा ना सिविल सर्विस एस्पायरेंट्स को काफी दिमाग में रहते हैं. That is, how does a day in life of an officer look like, especially if you talk about IPS officers? Because when you talk about IS, mostly it's a kind of desk job, 9 to 5 job kind of. Well, not basically 9 to 5, but it's a desk job. But when we hear about IPS officers, there is a different counterpart. Some days they are on missions, some days they are solving investigation, some days they are on some foreign missions, some days they are solving some mysterious cases. So we as civilians and especially civil service aspirants tend to get attracted to know how does a day in life of IPS officer look like?
I'm sure. See, it's all very well dramatized. Also, lots of movies, lots of videos have been made on the subject. See, it is a demanding thing. The life of a cop, especially the regular duties that we do, it is perhaps much more demanding than any other job that we would be likely to take up. Here, more so because I see a lot of other forces, a lot of other sister agencies also who have a very demanding life. But unfortunately for the police, in the absence of a lot of reforms, even what the other forces have been able to do, we have not been able to do. For the Army, BSF, or CRPF, for example, they are able to plan out their whole structure of the leaves for the whole year. So if a Jawan has to go on leave on Diwali, perhaps it would be built into their thing that who is the one who will go on Diwali, who is the one who will go on Eid, who is the one who will go on a Holi. So that whole annual leave calendar and planning is done everywhere, and that sort of sets in, and there's a set pattern to it. Here, unfortunately, this is a day in and day off. Even if you take the day off, there is no guarantee that the day will be off. You will have to report back if there is some emergency, and there is no way that you can deny, not going back to work. So keeping that in mind, I think it's a tough thing. Some days are definitely light on us, but many days are quite heavy. Normally, we start office very early, and basically, it is like they said that cops, duty hours are not set, and he's always on duty. So even if you are sleeping at night at 11:30 or 12 or 1:30 or 2, and somebody calls you, you have to go out. And even at the level of an SSP or a DIG, when duty beckons and there is the call of duty, everyone rises to it, and so there's no set timing of having a day. Normally, I would say a normal day would start somewhere around maybe 7 a.m., where you are out already and doing some kind of a workout to keep yourself fit enough to face the day. Then there is, heading to office, listening to a lot of people who come to you. They have complaints, they have grievances. Then you have a lot of file work. You have your own men coming to you for leaves, for other kinds of welfare measures. There are lots of even departmental grievances that come in. Then you look at the overall infrastructural requirements that are required. You look at the security of your people. Then there's a lot of checking required, whether the alertness is being maintained and what is happening. Then you have a visit to the police stations, and whether the records are being maintained and whether the people are being dealt properly. We are then looking at some technological advancements during the day, and towards evening, you would perhaps be looking at how the living conditions of the Jawans have improved. This is typically a day when you would not be attending to some big case or a sensational crime that has happened. And if that is the case, then you have to take out time especially for that, and then there is obviously no end to it. So I think a lot of our visits are also to be on the road with the men at Nakas and at other such places to see and feel how it actually goes out for them and how we can improve them, especially in the different kinds of weather that we have to face. So I think that is how I would describe a typical day of a police officer. And this is when you have like a semi-normal day when you don't have anything extra to look at. So something extra may still come at the end of that normal day.
So when your day is so much rigorous, you hardly have time for yourself. Like you said, how many things an IPS officer has to do. So sir, don't you feel sometimes कि यार मुझे मेरी फैमिली के लिए भी टाइम चाहिए या मुझे खुद को भी टाइम देना है? Don't you miss out on that part, sir, due to your IPS?
See, we do miss out on a lot of things. Something I would say that it is not a very regular thing that you would count or you would be counted upon by your family to be there when they are told. So it sort of goes on them also that like if today is a birthday and it is not necessary that even if a commitment is made, it will be kept. So many times, everyone is expecting you on your own birthday and the cake is there and people are waiting, but you are not there because you had committed the fine. I'll try to come early today and we'll cut the cake with the family. But then you can't make it. And it so happens that you come at 2 in the night and then it has to be cut the next day early in the morning. So, that is the kind of a thing that happens. So commitments are they always come loaded with the precondition that if nothing goes wrong and if everything is fine, then we'll honor all the commitments. I'm sure you know it well that we have been trying to do this program for the last 2 weeks, and myself have not been able to commit to an exact hour and date for this. So that is how it is. That is how it is. Although we always have the intention of trying to do our best, but then it never really comes true on time.
सर बट आपको कभी ऐसा नहीं लगता कि इतनी मेहनत करने का क्या सिविल सर्विस भी निकाला पहले सिविल सर्विस इज अ टफ थिंग नेचुरली इट इज वन ऑफ द कोविटेड एग्जाम्स ऑफ आवर कंट्री सिविल सर्विस पहले निकाला फिर इंटरव्यू क्रैक किया फिर आईपीएस की टफ ट्रेनिंग की फिर आईपीएस में गए बट आफ्टर दैट यू आर नॉट गेटिंग टाइम फॉर योर फैमिली so doesn't this counterpart demotivate you and not getting time for my family?
It is a very individual thing. It's where you derive the satisfaction from. See, how I saw it that when we started with the training, our aim was clear that we need to do our training well. After a time, it sort of started to get very cliched and sort of repetitive. So we never understood why it is so does it need to be done so many times, the same thing. But the first day I stepped as a probationer into a police station, and the first case where I helped out a family trace out their missing young child, and the look of happiness that you see on a person's face, even if you're not, there's no need for actually getting something in return, even a thanks from on the other side. But that feeling that comes inside you, that feeling that comes only from having done something good, that feeling is what keeps you running. Every time, no amount of rewards or money or medals or any kind of incentive that I get will ever motivate me as much as I would get motivated by the simple feeling that I have that I could help somebody out in the thing that I feel that I'm doing good. I'm helping someone where people expect. See, in our country, a lot of distrust is there towards the police. We're working very hard to change the perception, but things take time to change. But even with that, I see that person overcoming that hurdle of having a fear for the police and still coming to you, and then he or she reposes that faith in you that I'm telling you this and this is the help that I expect. And if you're able to do that, and if you find that it's genuine and can be done within the four walls of the law, then I think that is the greatest sort of income that you can have, and that sort of sustains your soul, that sort of sustains your that hope inside you, and never lets you get frustrated or really burn out. Physically, yes, it's very taxing, and after every 7 and 8 days of very taxing hard work, you physically require, let's say, a long period of sleep or some kind of some kind of entertainment or some kind of things that take it off your mind. But somewhere inside it, it keeps you safe. It keeps you very grounded, and it keeps you somehow tapped in to the feelings of the people. So you can, let's say, 80 times out of 100, able to make out how things are moving, and that's how normally everyone depends on the police to judge and know the pulse of the people.
Yes, sir. Sir, I just got the inside of two faces of khaki, and one face was good, one face was bad, but I enjoyed both of them. So when we talk about yeah, when we talk about IPS officers, a different kind of glamour is attached to them. Whether it is the national emblem shining on your head, or it is the IPS written on the shoulder, or the national emblem on your shoulder strap, that just inspires, especially me, a lot. Being a civil service enthusiast, it inspires me a lot, and many more civil aspirants and even civilians also. So, sir, in this glamour, how is the life behind this glamour? How is the life of an IPS officer behind this glamour?
Like I said,